Well, today is our kind of final big filming day before an August break. And so Dan has said it's a special treat to come up to Snowdonia. Look at this beautiful countryside. We are in Beddgelert, and I'm really looking forward to this. And Dan, you said come to Snowdonia, we'll have a nice day, you're going to buy me an ice cream. This is going to be, I guess, one of the more relaxing filming days.
Yes. So we're about to do something that Jonathan's walked and he's talked and he's done other things, but we're now going to attempt to scramble up a hill with our equipment and film from the top, and he's got to say it all from memory. So yeah, it's going to be a dawdle. It's going to be, a breeze.
This is not going well. I turned up this morning and Dan had a hat and I thought this is going to be serious. Yeah. This is okay, so that we're going all the way, I think, up there to get a view. Not up there?
Up behind the tree.
Up there.
Not quite as high as well. It'll take us all day.
Okay, well, look, if you find this phone, then hi to everybody. I love you all, and yeah, it was for the art. Thank you. So we're halfway up the mountain. I wasn't joking. Dan is crazy, but he's got all this equipment, and obviously I brought essentials. I brought a book with me and a bottle of water, but I am carrying a very expensive drone. So yeah, no, we are actually climbing for a shot. So please, when you watch this DVD, please appreciate all that we've done. Right, you ready for me?
Yes.
Have you got a chair or something to pull me up? Well, we have made it up. Here's Dan. I feel like we're doing a nature documentary today, like we're going to be hiding out looking for a gorilla in the mist or something. But it's looking incredibly professional today. And here is the view. Look at that. That is a phenomenal view. We're doing 8 scenes today. This is for the first scene. I'm dreading what's in store for the next 7.
It's uphill from here.
It's all uphill from here.
Not literally, of course. It's going to be uphill in terms of ease.
But this
downhill in terms of hardness.
Exactly. But this is yeah, I kind of feel that something of this documentary is a little bit of kind of like a tourist board for Wales promotion.
That was always the plan. The revival is just a cover.
Because
I've actually been paid, £10,000 back as Kickstarter. And then 10 times that from Wales tourist board.
Which is brilliant.
Yeah, I thought I'd just break it to you now, or we're almost finished here.
Yeah, no, it's amazing, isn't it? But what a beautiful country, and beautifully blessed in revival, but beautifully blessed in creation as well. So yeah, we'll do a little bit of filming. You ready?
Yeah, I'm glad that one of the revivals happened here.
Yeah. So we have come down and we've just had a lovely lunch, and we have, well, I'd like to say bumped into, we've arranged to meet up with Pete Campbell. Pete, if people haven't met you before, because they've only just met me, so they're only just getting used to me. Pete, who are you and what do you do?
My name's Pete, and I am the pastor of Capel Fron Evangelical Church, which is about a 20-minute drive. It's in the armpit of Wales, Llyn Peninsula here, Porthmadog, Penrhyndeudraeth just there, and that's where I'm a minister.
Brilliant. So you've been in Penrhyndeudraeth for 10 years now?
Yeah.
And it's great because we're in Beddgelert. We're looking at kind of revivals from 1816 to 1822. What's it like now in this kind of part of Snowdonia? What's the kind of gospel and church scene like?
Well, it's beautiful area. It's spread out. It's rural. There's been a kind of decline in the chapels, so a lot of the denominational chapels are either smaller or dwindling out in the villages. There are still lots of healthy Christians and gospel churches in various places. And the sad thing is that the generations after the people who experienced the revival, their grandchildren and great-grandchildren are growing up with very little idea of what the gospel is. So those are the kind of people we rub shoulders with and are praying for.
But as well as that, I guess over the last 10-20 years there has been a growth in churches in the area and gospel kind of work.
Yeah, a growth that, so in the last 40 years, yes, a growth in kind of evangelical gospel-centred churches across North Wales, working in different and Welsh-speaking evangelical churches too.
And actually here in Beddgelert, you were just pointing out here by this river, this is kind of historic where your church baptises.
Yeah, so our church was planted by a Baptist pastor called Mike Perrin. He started a work called the Christian Mountain Centre, and for about 40 years that's been going. Our church came out of that, and traditionally this is where the baptisms were. We've had baptisms here, loads of people around here watching people getting baptised, outside preaching. So this is a big place for our church.
Brilliant. Pete, thank you so much for coming. So Pete actually brought us, Dan, good food?
Yes, everything.
It was amazing.
Pork, apple and stuffing in a roll.
It was amazing.
Tell the camera about, what was it? I forgot what you said now. Cinema.
The cinema?
Yeah.
Oh, I was talking to an old guy in our village and just saying, why don't normal people go to chapel and church anymore? And he said, when he was a boy, the cinema and the bus fare became cheaper, so the chapels were the cultural centre, and when the cinema came along, that changed. So, and I think that's pretty true. There's a rapid secularisation in villages and towns around here.
Yeah, I think that's something we'll see in later kind of films, when we kind of look at early 20th century and then kind of late 20th century. You kind of see the way that the church had held the community and had ruled the community, and unfortunately kind of culture and Christianity merged, and so actually when better cultures came along, actually people just jumped ship completely and quite happily ditched cultural Christianity, I think is fair to say. But it's good. Hey, so Pete, thank you for our lunch. This has been brilliant. You've also given us some local knowledge about a location of singing in the air. Singing in the air. You might not know what that is, but we'll come back to that.
Not singing in the rain, singing in the air.
Exactly. Thank you, Pete. Well, we've left Beddgelert and we've come up the road to a National Trust site and paid a lot of money to come to Hafod y Llan. Now here is the farmhouse, Hafod y Llan. Now one of the things that'll be complex about this vlog and about this scene in the Welsh Awakenings DVD is the fact that the Beddgelert Revival of 1817 A, didn't start in Beddgelert and B, didn't really last only for 1817. It actually started over on the Llyn Peninsula, so after this shot we're going over to the Llyn Peninsula, and even when it came over to this area it started here before it went into kind of Beddgelert. And really this farmhouse is where I think in the kind of August of 1817 an amazing meeting happened. There was a local man preaching, and not someone phenomenally known for his preaching gift. You know, when you go to the 1700s and men like Daniel Rowland and Howell Harris, they're all known as preachers. And what's interesting about the Beddgelert Revival is that whilst it's definitely a preaching revival, you haven't got these huge big preachers. There are great preachers in Wales at the time, but that's not really what it's known for. I think what I find fascinating with the Beddgelert Revival, and probably the reason why it's my favourite of all of the kind of revivals, is because it's definitely a preaching revival, but actually it's not down to preaching personalities. It's really down to a demonstration of the Spirit's power. And that happened here. It was a Sunday evening, there was an average preacher preaching, and it's something like, you know, within 15 minutes of the meeting starting, the Spirit came down in unbelievable power, and lives are changed, and within 2, 3, 4 weeks this whole area all the way down to Beddgelert in the parish all around, you know, there wasn't a household that wasn't affected by the revival. Now there's a number of reasons also why I like the Beddgelert Revival. The preaching is one of them, and when I'm over in the Llyn Peninsula I'll tell you one of the other reasons. Obviously, one of the things you have to do in coming out on site is all hands on deck. We haven't got a large crew, and so I am now opening gates for Dan. I'm out and about, and he is, look, sitting in his car. But there we are. It's got to be done. There we go, sir. I'll just let him through, King Dan. Not even a thank you. Not even a thank you. Well, we've left the Beddgelert area. We've done some lovely drone shots, which I'm sure you'll see in the final DVD. We've come over to the Llyn Peninsula, which is absolutely stunning, and really come to the beginning of the Beddgelert Revival. As I said earlier on, it didn't quite start in Beddgelert. It actually started over on the Llyn Peninsula and in a chapel called Capel Nant. It was rebuilt in 1877, but actually even now we've come a little bit too late, and now there's scaffolding all around it. This is one of those things, you know, you've already seen in the vlog. Sometimes you strike gold and sometimes you don't quite. And so unfortunately the original chapel has been rebuilt 1877, and even that chapel now, which is a beautiful chapel, is surrounded by scaffolding. So Dan's going to figure out how we film. Now, I said that the Beddgelert Revival is one of my favourites. One of the reasons is because I love the fact that it's not a kind of personality centred, kind of specific preacher centred revival. I find that really encouraging, that it's just normal people preaching the gospel and the power of God coming out. Something about that I love. But the second reason I love the Beddgelert Revival, and probably my primary reason, is because it started with children praying. And it happened on this site. So back in kind of 1816, there was a boy, and in this area historians commented he was lame. I don't quite know what that means, but physically he was struggling, and so on a Sunday he would go and hide in the loft of the chapel that stood in this place. And in the end, another one of the little children, a girl, wanted to join him. They started praying in the loft, and then other children joined them and started praying, and then the children went to the church prayer meeting, and then they started praying, and the Spirit of God in this area came down primarily through the children. And there's something beautiful about that. You know, we've been trying to show the links between prayer and revival. I want to show here this it's not unique, this link though between children praying and revival. And so it began here, kind of the winter of 1816 and the start January 1817, February. And interestingly then, the other reason I love this is because the way it got from here to Beddgelert was through joint church meetings. Obviously in a Presbyterian church system, they had these kind of monthly and bi-monthly meetings, and it was an elder from here going to a meeting, talking about what the children were doing and the adults coming to faith, and an elder from Beddgelert going, we've got to have that, that is amazing. Then going back to Beddgelert and beginning prayer meetings there. And there's something, I don't know, I love this, you know. 1800s, you know, there was much opposition to the gospel. You know, in Beddgelert there was a church, and they kind of drilled holes above the pulpit and then just chucked stuff through the holes over the preacher. People were really against it. But then through the prayers of children, even in those dark days, God moved and moved in a mighty way. And there's something so encouraging there. So we've done a shot in front of the scaffolding, and we're now walking around the back for the final shot of the day. One of the interesting things is watching Dan trying to figure out what to film, what not to film, what to get in the picture, and how to make the most of a situation like this, really. So now we're going to go up here and film from there and see what we can get. So we've come up onto the decking. It's quite a nice shot actually. You can see the chapel there. It's a nice little background shot. Dan is still there in his hat, looking all the professional man that he is. All good, Dan?
Not all good, but it's acceptable.
It's acceptable. We're going to be honest, Pete Campbell's food is getting us through the day. There we are, Dan. We've just finished our last little shot for the day. Are you tired?
Yes, and hot and burned, and but I'm it's been an interesting day, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It's been kind of, I felt like we've not achieved as much as I'd like to, but I think it's the scaffolding.
Yeah.
Dampen it, but the drone shots have more than made up for it.
Yeah, I think coming to a place and finding it covered in scaffolding is a little bit of a gutter. Another kind of Welsh landmark which is being sold off for holiday homes. It's never an encouraging sight.
We've got some good stuff, we've got some good shots, some good immense drone shots.
Yeah.
But I think the most pressing question of the day is, what do you think of my hat?
I like his hat, so please write in, let us know, do you think Dan looks better with a hat or without a hat? To be honest, have a look back over the last vlog, he was definitely sunburnt by the end, so this is better in terms of our health and safety risk assessments. So Dan, how far have you got to go now to get home? How many hours?
2 hours.
2 hours, and
You?
about 3.5 hours. So lovely, I'm going to listen to some podcasts and enjoy. Dan, a good day. Everybody, see you next time. Bye-bye.